Hey everyone, this is Chase of Rocky Mountain ATV giving you a closer look at the all-new V3 helmet from Fox Racing. Alright, so after a long anticipated wait, we now have the all-new V3 helmet coming from Fox Racing, all new for 2019. Now if you are familiar with the previous V3, take everything you know about it, throw it out the window, because this, you can see, is a complete departure from that. Everything about this helmet is brand new, from the shell construction, the Eps Liner, as well as their new innovative FI pods, which we'll talk about more in depth here in just a little bit. I love it when companies like Fox Racing, they push the envelope, they take their time, do research, and come out with a helmet that's innovative and make it as safe as possible for the rider, and that's what you're getting here with the new V3. So we're gonna dive in, talk about all the features, but before we get there, let's talk about fit real quick. So I have tried this helmet on. For me, I wear size medium. Fitment is spot on, so true to size. I really like the ecstatic liner on the inside. It's antimicrobial, very comfortable. But remember, this isn't a apparel item, so if you get it, if you're not happy with the size of the fitment, we have our fit guarantee, which means you can send it back in brand new unused condition, and we will give you free shipping both ways on your first exchange, and that goes for any helmet that we sell at Rocky Mountain. You've got 4 different shell sizes with the new V3. Now what's cool about this helmet, if we give you a 360 view here, like I mentioned earlier, a complete departure from the previous V3, very aggressive shell shape you can see. Now, if you're familiar with the V1, which Fox came out with recently, it looks pretty similar to that, or even their mountain biking helmet, the Rampage Pro Carbon, looks very similar to that as well. First, when I saw it, I thought it was pretty aggressive, but I'll admit it has grown on me. I'm actually a fan of this shell. I think it's pretty unique the way it looks. What do you guys think? But safety rating on this, you're gonna be a DOT and ECE certified. Now, as far as the shell construction goes, you're gonna have 4 shell sizes, and it's their MCT shell. So it's a multi-composite shell, which means you're gonna have different materials like your carbon fiber, your Kevlar, your nylon, your fiberglass, which makes a very strong shell, but also helps to keep it lightweight. So I've actually weighed this a size medium, 3.1 pounds, so it actually did shed a few ounces from the previous V3. Now, in my opinion, the lighter you can make a helmet, well, the better off you're gonna be. Now, with those 4 different shell sizes, this is really nice. It's a feature that we typically just see in premium helmets, because what it does, it helps give a better customized fit for the rider's head size, but also helps reduce the weight in those smaller sizes. So for example, I've got a size small right here in front of me. I've got a medium to my right. If you look at these closely, you can see they are different sizes. So they're not just taking a medium shell and then putting a thicker EPS or comfort liner on the inside to fit a small head. Instead, that size small has its own shell. So it does a couple things. It gives a better fit for the smaller head size, but also it reduces the weight because you're not adding additional materials to help fit for that smaller head size. So you're gonna have a small shell, a medium, a large, and then you have your extra large. So again, 4 different shell sizes. But what is very unique here, when you look at it, you'll notice that on the side profile here, you see where the cage is for the whole chin bar in this mouth and the eye port area. This is actually a separate piece. And Fox actually sent me one so you can see it to see exactly what I'm talking about. So this front cage, it's a separate piece. This is actually a polycarbonate piece, so a very hard plastic, and it's actually just built right into the outer shell, and there's a couple of reasons why they went this route. So the first one is that by having that polycarbonate shell, they got the strength that they wanted here in that cage area, but also, we'll talk about it more too, there's a big design that they incorporated with the venting. Another great feature about this 2-piece design is that actually allows them to take the EPS liner and actually inject that right into the shell, which by doing that does a couple of things. One, it helps reduce the size of the shell overall because you don't have that gap between the EPS liner and the shell. And also, like I mentioned earlier, it helps reduce the weight. So you get a couple benefits by having that cage piece be separate. So that's it. Now we talk about venting. You can see this helmet has a lot of big vents on it. I actually rode in the V1 when it first came out, and that to me was one of the best venting helmets that I have ridden in. And you can see with the V3, it has even more venting than the V1. So there's no doubt in my mind, if you are wearing this in warm, hot conditions, it is going to flow a ton of air. And when we look at the EPS liner here in just a little bit, you'll notice that those channels in EPS are going to correlate directly with these vents you have on the outside. So when you look at the chin bar here, you can see you've got these massive vents on the chin bar. Your mouth guard here has these very large vents as well. There is some foam behind that mouth guard vent. You can actually pull it out, clean it out, and put it back in. But you'll notice here that with this polycarbonate cage, that this mesh is actually injected into that cage. So you're still gonna pass the safety standards, but you're allowing to have that mesh be a little bit larger. Again, it flows as much airflow in as possible. And then when you look underneath the visor here, you can see you've got these massive vents that are direct intakes right underneath the visor into the helmet. You've got a couple more here on the sides, which are underneath that visor as well. And when you see the EPS liner, you can see those channels that are built in. So all that air comes through those vents in the front, and then it pushes out the exhaust vents that you have here in the back. So like I said, designed to flow a lot of air. Another feature I want to point out, when you look at the back of the helmet here, you can see this is actually raised up just a little bit in the back here down at the bottom, and the reason for that is neck brace compatibility. If you wear a neck brace, they want it to be able to fit with those nicely, so they actually had this cut out right here just to have a little bit better platform and interface a little bit better with the neck brace. So you can see they're thinking about all the different users that are going to be rocking this helmet. As far as the visor goes, you're still getting MVRS, which stands for Magnetic Visor Removal System. So this is what some of the technology they're taking from the previous V3 and putting it on this. So the way it works is pretty simple. When it comes to crashes, you want to try and reduce as much of the angular rotational forces as possible. So this visor is meant to break off in the event that happens. And the way it works is pretty simple. So you can see plenty of strength when I lift this up and down. Now I'm sure a lot of you are asking the question, is it going to stay on better than the previous V3? Because yes, the previous V3, I know some riders complained about how the visor would pop off a little bit too easy if some roost hit it. So they've increased the strength of the visor, so it's going to be more resistant to falling off if roost were to hit it. So a big improvement there. But the way it works is pretty simple. So you've got these magnets. So let's say you're going down, you come in a forward impact. If I press down, it just pops the visor right off, and you can see how it works. You've got these little spots right here. That's going to be for the magnets. You can actually see these magnets here on the shell. So you got one right here in the front. You're also going to have that on the side. And a big improvement from the previous V3 with this MVRS is with the old helmet, what they did is they kind of retrofitted their shell with that new magnetic visor. But you can see the shell on the new V3 is completely designed to incorporate that visor. And if this does pop off, very simple to put back on. You just line up that center magnet, and then those just pop into place. So very quick to do it. And another feature I do like about that magnetic visor is that if you do crash and you bust the visor off, what's nice is that it's a lot less likely for this to actually break. So it's going to save you the cost of having to buy a new visor if you were to go down. I've had other helmets where the visor isn't designed to break off like that. I end up breaking or cracking the visor. Cost me money to buy a new one. So I do like the design of that MVRS. So that's the outside of the helmet. Again, a lot of cool features to that. But now let's take a look at the inside here. So you're going to have your traditional D-ring here. Pop this open. Now you can see, I like with this white version, you've got that X-static liner on the inside. So here are your cheek pads, couple snaps and Velcro holding those in. So I'll pop that out. You can see, like I mentioned earlier, very comfortable when you have this on against the skin. Pop out my other one. Now this is washable, so if you want to get it hot and sweaty, pop it out, throw it in the wash, and you can throw it back in when it's dry, and you're going to be good to go. So there is, again, that is the comfort liner on the inside. You can see you've got some mesh here on the top. That's going to help flow some air. But here are some of the big safety features we've talked about. When you look at the inside here, first I just want to point out, you see, like I mentioned, those massive cutouts in the Eps Liner that correlate with those vents. You can even see you've got these giant ones here in the back of the helmet as well to help get that warm air out. So this helmet's going to breathe good. But probably what you're wondering is, what in the heck are those blue things on the inside there? Those are the FI pods, and FI stands for fluid inside. That's one of the new big safety features Fox put into the V3. Only company that is using these, and let's talk about them. So I've actually got my nice little booklet here that Fox sent me. So this is one of their pods. Now there's 7 of these inside the helmet. You can see they're all different sizes. Each helmet size is going to have 7 of these in there, so that does not change. But what's cool, like I said, Fox, they're pushing the envelope. They went out looking for new innovative technology to put into their helmet, and they found the University of Ottawa, and at that university, they actually have a neurotrauma center where they study head and neck injuries for athletes, and they decide to use these FI pods. And the purpose for these is to replicate the cerebral spinal fluid that you already have inside your head. That fluid is in there to help protect your brain, and that's what these are designed to do. So the way it works is pretty cool. On the inside here, these pods, you actually have a mineral oil, which helps move these in all different directions, but also you have some foam on the inside as well. And there's a few key features that this is going to do. The first, it helps absorb linear impacts. So I'm talking about your impacts straight up and down. You can see when I press on this, it actually has give to it. And also what's cool about these pods is they also help absorb low speed energy. I've actually had a lot of crashes where I didn't feel like I was going that fast. I don't feel like I hit my head all that hard, but it still gave me a headache. And I felt like I hit my head a lot harder than I did, or that I was going a lot faster than I was. And that just goes to show that even at lower speed, you can still do damage by hitting your head. So you got to have a way for your helmet to manage those low speed impacts, not just for those big high speed energy hits. So that's what's cool about that. And also, because there's that fluid inside, this will move in all different directions. So that's going to help with those angular and those rotational hits. So they had the MIP system in the previous V3, which is kind of the same concept, but they've gone away with that and now have these pods, which are essentially going to do the same thing, but they're also helping absorb when it just comes to those impacts as well. So really cool feature, really cool technology. Again, you have 7 of those inside the helmet. And the last feature we're going to cover is going to be the new Eps Liner. So like I was talking about earlier, by having that 2-piece design with that cage as well as a shell, they can actually just inject the Eps Liner into the shell. Again, you're taking away that gap that you have between the Eps Liner and the shell. With the typical helmet, you have the 1-piece shell, and then you take the Eps Liner and you put it into the helmet, it's just glued in there. But by being able to inject that EPS into the shell, it does a couple things. One, it eliminates that gap, so that's gonna help them reduce the shell size, and in turn, that's gonna help reduce the weight as well. Now, another cool feature about that Eps Liner is the cone shape that it now has. And the purpose for that cone shape, it has a more progressive energy dampening to it. So that way, as it starts to compress, it will be a little bit softer and get firmer and firmer. So it's a progressive impact absorption with that new Eps Liner. So it's pretty cool what Fox is doing there. And that is it. That is the all-new V3 coming from Fox Racing. Again, complete departure from the previous model. A lot of cool, new, innovative safety technology that is built in. But I would love to hear your thoughts and comments on this helmet. What do you guys think? So leave those below. We'll get your questions answered. And to pick up your helmet, it is very simple. All you got to do is just click on the link or head over to RockyMountainATVMC.com. Do not forget the orders over $75 ship free. If you guys like this product spotlight, you want to see more just like it, we'll make sure to get subscribed to our YouTube channel. That way you stay up to date and you do not miss out. I am Chase. We'll see you on the trails.